Sergeant Daniel Whitaker arrived with the American military government in March of 1946, carrying 2 duffel bags, a photograph of his parents' farm in Iowa, and the tired face of a man who had seen too much wreckage to be impressed by more of it. He was 29, broad across the shoulders, quiet by habit, and patient in the way farmers are patient. Not soft, not careless. Patient because a field teaches a man that anger does not make wheat rise faster. His work was not glorious. He did not chase enemies through forests or pose beside captured guns. He stood behind a desk in a requisition office and decided who received flour, nails, coal, blankets, chalk, lamp oil, and window glass. That was how he first saw Anna Keller. She came in on a Tuesday with a boy who was not hers and a ration card that had been filled out wrong by a clerk who had mistaken the child's surname. The boy was 7, maybe 8, with hair cut unevenly and boots too large for his feet. He kept one hand inside Anna's coat sleeve as if the world might pull him away if he let go. Anna stood very straight in front of the desk. She was 26, though hunger and winter had tried to make her older. Her brown hair was pinned at the back of her head with 2 black pins. Her dress had been mended at both cuffs. Her shoes were polished, not because they were good shoes, but because she still believed a person should meet hardship with clean leather when possible. The German clerk beside Daniel spoke sharply to her. Anna answered in English. Not perfect English. Careful English. Learned from books, not from conversation. The boy's name is Matthias Kruger, she said. His mother is dead. His father is not found. The card says Kruger without the mark. They told him this is not the same child. Daniel looked at the boy, then at the card, then at Anna. You related to him? No. You responsible for him? Anna paused. That depends on whether anyone else intends to be. The clerk shifted uncomfortably. Daniel took the card, crossed out the error, wrote the corrected name in block letters, stamped it, and slid it back across the desk. Anna stared at the stamp longer than necessary. That is all, she asked. That is all. No fee. No. No other paper? Daniel leaned back slightly. Do you have another boy hidden in that sleeve? For 1 second, the child looked up. Anna did not smile, but something in her face loosened before she stopped it. No, she said. Only this one. Daniel reached under the desk and took 1 extra ration chip from the box marked emergency allotment. He placed it beside the card. Anna's expression closed again. We did not ask for more. I know. Then why? Daniel looked at Matthias, whose eyes were fixed on the chit, as if looking too hard might make it vanish. Because he is hungry. Anna's fingers remained still at her sides. Pride and need stood in her like 2 people refusing to move past each other in a narrow hall. At last, she took the papers. Thank you, Sergeant Whitaker. He noticed she had read his name from the cloth strip on his uniform. You have done translation work? Before the war, I taught English at a girls' school. And now? She folded the ration papers carefully. Now there is no girls' school. She took the boy and left. Daniel watched her cross the outer room, passing men who wanted coal, women who wanted medicine, old people who wanted news of sons no one could find. She moved through all of them with the same controlled dignity, one hand resting lightly on Matthias's shoulder. The next morning, Daniel asked the German clerk about her. Keller, the clerk said. Widow. Her husband died near Smolensk. Or so she says. She taught school before the party replaced half the staff. Too many questions, perhaps. Too little enthusiasm. Where does she live? The clerk looked at him carefully. Daniel's eyes stayed level. I have work that needs English. That afternoon, he found her in the ruins of a schoolhouse with 8 children sitting on broken stones while she drew letters on a piece of slate with a bit of brick. The roof was gone. The blackboard was cracked down the middle. One wall had collapsed inward, leaving the room open to the gray sky. The children sat anyway, coats buttoned, hands in laps, watching Anna as if she had brought fire. She stopped when Daniel entered. The children turned at once. American uniforms still did that. They changed the air. They made adults straighten and children wonder whether they should hide. Daniel removed his cap. That helped a little. I need a translator, he said. Anna looked at the children, then back at him. There are offices full of men who translated for whoever held power last year. I'm not asking them. Why? Because yesterday you corrected a government paper without making the boy feel small. She said nothing. He held out a folder. There are children separated from families. Some German, some Polish, some from camps, some from farms, some too young to know what they are. The lists are bad. Names misspelled. Villages wrong. We need someone who can listen carefully. Anna's face changed at the word children. Not much. Enough. This is paid. Yes. I do not want charity. I did not offer any. The children watched them the way children watch adults when they sense the shape of their own future inside the conversation. Anna looked at the broken slate in her hand. I teach them in the mornings. Then work afternoons. The room has no roof. I noticed. The board is broken. I noticed that too. And still you ask me to leave? Daniel looked past her at the children. No. I am asking you to keep doing both. The next day, American soldiers arrived with tar paper, planks, a stovepipe, 2 boxes of chalk, and enough glass to cover the worst of the windows. They did not make speeches. They did not ask the children to thank them. They worked with their sleeves rolled, boots in the dust, hammers moving until the room held warmth again. Anna stood outside with her arms folded, watching them repair what had been broken by a war they had crossed an ocean to finish. One of the soldiers, a red-haired corporal from Kansas, found a small school bell under a pile of bricks. He wiped it with his sleeve and handed it to her. Yours, ma'am. Anna took it slowly. It was the school's. Then I guess it still is. Daniel saw her turn away before anyone could notice her eyes. By the second week, Anna was working in the records room every afternoon. It was a cold room on the first floor of the old municipal building, with maps pinned to the walls and tables covered in lists. She sat beside Daniel and wrote names as people spoke them. Some came angry. Some came empty. A few came lying, trying to claim children for labor or rations. Daniel had a way of stopping those people without raising his voice. Say the birth year again. Who was the midwife? What scar is on the left hand? Why did the child not recognize you? He did not accuse until he had proof. He did not trust without it. Anna respected that. Once, a man with a party pin mark still visible on his lapel demanded the release of a 14-year-old girl who had been found with a group of displaced children near Kitzingen. She is my niece, the man said. Anna listened. Daniel listened. The girl sat behind them, silent, both hands clenched in her skirt. Daniel asked, what is her full name? Elsa Bauer. Anna looked down at the paper. The girl had given her name as Ilse Baumann. The man corrected himself too quickly. A family variation, he said. Daniel stood. He was not dramatic when he was angry. That made it worse. This office returns children to families, he said. Not to men who cannot remember their names. The man cursed in German. Anna did not translate. Daniel looked at her. Anna said quietly, he says Americans know nothing about order. Daniel stepped around the desk. Tell him he is right about one thing. We did not come here to continue his kind of order. She translated that exactly. The man left without the girl. Afterward, Ilse Baumann began to cry without sound. Anna sat beside her, gave her a handkerchief, and waited until the child could breathe again. Daniel pretended to study a map because some kinds of mercy are easier to receive when no one is staring. By May, the schoolroom had 32 children. By June, it had 47. The American Supply Depot sent benches made from scrap lumber. A lieutenant found primers in a warehouse. Someone donated pencils. Daniel brought a coffee tin filled with buttons because half the children were losing clothes faster than anyone could replace them. Anna taught reading in the mornings and names in the afternoons. Names became her second classroom. She learned that a name could keep a person alive after the body had gone missing. A correct spelling could carry a child across a border. A village written properly could bring a grandmother to a doorway. A date could prove someone belonged somewhere. Daniel understood this before many others did. Write it again, he would say when a clerk grew impatient. The boy gets one name. We can afford the ink. It was that sentence that changed something in Anna. Not all at once. Not enough that she would have admitted it. But she began to watch him differently. She saw how he removed his gloves before handing bread to old women, so they would not feel handled like cargo. She saw how he made soldiers stack coal beside doorways instead of throwing sacks into the mud. She saw how he corrected Americans who laughed at German words, not with outrage, but with a look that ended the joke. One evening, she found him alone in the records room, wrapping a cracked porcelain angel in newspaper. What is that? She asked. Found in a box of confiscated goods. Valuable. No. Then why keep it? He turned the small figure in his hand. One wing was missing. There was a name under the box. Keller. Anna went still. Daniel looked from the angel to her. I was going to ask tomorrow. She walked to the table. Her hand rose, stopped, then reached. My mother put this on our window every Christmas, she said. He gave it to her. It was taken when they searched our apartment, she said. They said religious objects encouraged weakness. Daniel's jaw tightened. Anna held the angel as if it had weight far beyond porcelain. You kept this because of a name? Yes. There are thousands of names. I know. And you cannot return everything. No. But you try. Daniel folded the newspaper flat with both hands. My father says if a fence breaks in 10 places, you do not stand there cursing the whole field. You fix the first rail, then the next. Anna looked at him for a long moment. Your father is a farmer? Yes. That explains much. I have chosen to take that as praise. This time she smiled. It was brief, but real enough that Daniel remembered it later while trying to sleep in the barracks. Trouble came in July. Not from the Americans. Not from the children. From a German named Otto Reimann. who had once been important enough to frighten teachers and small enough to deny it afterward. Before the surrender, Ryman had overseen school appointments in the district. He had removed books, replaced teachers, reported parents, and sent letters that ruined lives with tidy signatures. After the war, he shaved his mustache, lost his uniform, and began calling himself a clerk. He came to the school on a hot afternoon while Anna was helping two boys sound out English words. The children went quiet when they saw him. That told Daniel everything later. Ryman stood in the doorway with his hat in his hands and false politeness on his face. "Frau Keller," he said. "Still teaching?" Anna closed the primer. "Yes. Under American permission. Under school authority." He smiled. "Authority changes costumes. It remains authority." Anna's hands rested on the desk. "What do you want?" "There are files missing from the old district office. Personnel files. Reports. Evaluations. Records from before the collapse." He looked around the room. "Some people believe you may know where they are. I do not. I hope that is true." One of the younger girls began to cry. Ryman glanced at her with irritation, and for a moment the old man inside the new coat showed himself. Anna stepped between them. "You should leave." He leaned closer. "You always had too much courage when stronger people were absent." A voice came from the doorway behind him. "Then it is fortunate I am present." Daniel stood there with two American soldiers. Ryman turned, startled. Daniel's German was poor, but his expression required no translation. Anna said in English, "He is looking for old files." Daniel looked at Ryman. "Why?" Ryman smiled again. "To assist reconstruction." Daniel stepped into the room. "Good. Then you can assist us at the municipal building. We are collecting records from former officials." The smile died. "I am not an official." Anna opened a drawer, removed a thin folder, and placed it on the desk. Daniel looked at her. She did not look at him. "I found this in the school cellar," she said. "I was afraid to bring it." Daniel opened it. Inside were appointment lists, denunciation notes, teacher removals, student reports, and Ryman's name signed at the bottom of more than one page. Ryman lunged for the folder. Daniel caught his wrist before he reached it. No flourish. No rage. Just a hard grip and a final look. "Do not," Daniel said. Ryman stopped moving. The children watched in total silence. Daniel released him only after the two soldiers had taken position on either side. "This is American jurisdiction now," Daniel said. "Records stay records. Names stay names. Children stay safe." Anna translated every word. Ryman was escorted out. Nobody cheered. Children rarely cheer when old fear leaves a room. They simply wait to see whether it comes back. It did not. That evening, Anna remained after class, stacking primers that had already been stacked. Daniel stood near the repaired window. "You should have told me about the file." "I know. Why didn't you?" She kept her eyes on the books. "Because for 12 years, papers were dangerous. A paper could dismiss you, arrest you, send your father away, make a neighbor disappear. I had forgotten that a paper could also protect." Daniel said nothing. Anna touched the top primer, aligning it with the others. "When you came, I thought you would ask us to be grateful. We did not come for gratitude." "No. I know that now." Outside, children crossed the yard in a loose line, carrying slates under their arms. Anna watched them go. "I was a teacher," she said. "Then I became careful. Then I became silent. I told myself silence was survival. Perhaps it was. But children cannot grow inside silence." Daniel looked at her. "You are not silent now." "No." The word was small. It stood like a post set deep into earth. In August, the first family reunion happened because of Anna's handwriting. A woman from Bamberg arrived with a photograph of 3 children taken in 1938. 2 were dead. 1 had been moved through 4 towns, listed under 3 spellings, and finally entered into Daniel's ledger as Marta Seifert, age 11, scar above right eyebrow, sings when nervous. Anna had added the last detail because she noticed. The mother came on a Thursday. Marta was in class when the woman reached the door. Anna saw the photograph first, then the woman's shaking hands, then the child looking up from her slate. The girl did not move at first. Children who have lost too much do not trust recognition immediately. They study it. They test whether joy is safe. The mother whispered her name. Marta stood. Then she ran. The room broke open around the sound. Daniel was outside unloading coal when he heard it. He came to the doorway and saw the mother on her knees, the girl in her arms, Anna standing beside the desk with one hand pressed to her mouth. He did not enter. That moment did not belong to him. Later, Anna found him by the truck. "She was found because you made them rewrite the village name," she said. "Because you knew it was wrong. You listened. That is not a rare skill. In this country, it became rare." Daniel lifted a sack of coal from the truck bed. "Then we will make it common again." She looked at him with an expression he had not seen before. Not surprise. Not suspicion. Something steadier and more dangerous to a lonely man. Trust. Autumn came with cold rain and lists that shortened in some columns and grew in others. The school received a roof before October. Real tiles, not tar paper. The stove worked. The windows held. The bell rang every morning. Anna rang it herself. The children stood when she entered, not out of fear, but because she had taught them that respect could be clean again. Daniel was transferred in November to a larger office in Frankfurt. He told her on a Monday, after class, while the children were outside trading pencil stubs and chestnuts. Anna took the news without lowering her eyes. When? End of the week. That is soon. Yes. You knew? Since Saturday. And waited. I wanted 2 more ordinary days. She looked toward the blackboard. On it, in careful English, the children had written, "My name is mine." Anna had chosen the sentence. Daniel had not asked why. Now he understood. He reached into his coat and took out a small package wrapped in brown paper. "This was approved by the property office," he said. "Not a gift, of course, but I carried it here myself." She opened it. Inside was her teaching certificate, stamped before the war, folded once, stained at the edge, but legible. Anna Keller, instructor of English and literature. She stared at it. They had this. In a file box marked inactive. Inactive, she repeated. Daniel's voice softened. That was wrong. Anna touched her name. For a moment, she was not in the repaired schoolroom. She was younger, standing before a class before flags entered every corner, before lessons became slogans, before fear sat behind every desk. Then she came back. "You found this for me." "Yes." "Why?" Daniel put his cap under his arm. "Because a person should not have to rebuild a life without her own name." The rain tapped against the new glass. Anna folded the certificate carefully, but her hands were not steady. "I used to think the Americans would leave and Germany would simply become hungry in a different way," she said. "I did not understand what order could look like without cruelty." Daniel absorbed that in silence. "My country is not perfect," he said. "No country is. But I know what we were sent here to do. Stop the men who made this. Feed who we can. Protect who needs it. Leave things better than we found them. You believe that. I have to. Then I have to act like." The end of the line with the certificate in her coat pocket and the porcelain angel wrapped in cloth inside her satchel. Daniel came to her last. For a moment, neither spoke. Around them, the town made its small sounds. A cartwheel. A hammer. A woman calling from a window. Children breathing white clouds into the cold. "Frau Keller," he said. "Sergeant Whitaker." The formality almost made her smile. He offered his hand. She took it. His hand was warm despite the cold. Farmer's hand. Soldier's hand. A hand that had carried coal, files, broken glass, and small porcelain things back to their owners. "I will answer your letters," she said. "I was counting on that." Do farmers count well? Only what matters. This time she did smile. Not much. Enough. The truck carried him away before noon. Anna watched until it turned past the church ruins and disappeared. Then she went back inside the school. The children were waiting. She stood before the blackboard, took up a piece of American chalk, and wrote her full name in large, steady letters. Anna Keller. Under it, she wrote another sentence in English. "We begin again with what is true." The children copied it carefully. Years later, when Würzburg had windows again, when the Anna looked at the certificate again. "You do." He looked at her then, not as a sergeant speaking to a teacher, not as victor to defeated, not as rescuer to rescued. Just a man with mud on his boots and feeling in his chest he had been disciplined enough not to spend carelessly. "I would write," he said, "if letters would be welcome." Anna held the certificate against her coat. "They would." "Good." He nodded once, as if settling an official matter, because anything more might have shown too much in a room where both of them had survived by showing little. At the door he stopped. "The bell sounds right," he said. Anna looked at it on the desk. It was always meant to. He left Friday morning. The children lined up outside the school, though no one had told them to. Matthias Kruger, who no longer hid inside Anna's sleeve, handed Daniel a slate. On it, in crooked English, he had written, "Thank you for my name." Daniel read it twice. Then he crouched and shook the boy's hand like he would shake a man's. "You keep it safe," he said. Matthias nodded solemnly. Anna stood at streets had lamps. When boys who once came to class hungry returned as apprentices and clerks and fathers, people still remembered the American sergeant who had brought chalk, coal, records, and a kind of discipline that did not humiliate the weak. They remembered that he returned names before he asked for thanks. They remembered that he stood in a German schoolhouse and made an old fear walk out under guard. They remembered Anna Keller too, the teacher who had stopped being silent.